commercial real estate market here in Southern California.
We're talking real estate, and we are talking. I want to do a shout out to all the people on what I'm going to call most of the old for us. It was like 50. I don't want to make what I'm going to call most of the old for us. It was like 50. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. That said, I want to welcome our guest, Kim Rittberg, who is of Kim. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, inside, and we hope you get through it and it warms up to something above the teens later on today.
Well, thank you so much. I love when California people are like, it's cold, it's 53 degrees. It is right now 20 degrees.
Yeah,
no. 20 degrees. It is right now 20 degrees.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
really happy to be inside and talking to you.
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago, and so we're going to do a little bit of a different spin because the real estate side of things, whether it's residential or whether it's commercial, you're really constantly marketing yourself. You're constantly marketing your company, whether it's individual presentations or personal or company persona. And you have a wide variety of background in a bunch of different things. I want to start by sort of rewinding to the beginning, if you will. You went to University of Pennsylvania, so I am jealous. I had to decide between there and staying on the West Coast, and I ultimately chose to stay here because it was warmer. But great school, very well renowned. And you, when you were going to school there, did you know then that you wanted to get involved with kind of what you're doing now, or what was the game plan at that point early on?
Definitely not. I was somebody who I always liked to be at the center of activity, I would say. So I was like really knew I would do something that was sort of, I don't want to say social, but involved talking to people, meeting with people, things like that. But my interests were really more centered on art. Like I minored in art history, I minored in Spanish. And when it came time to pick a major, I asked someone older than me, what should I study that will get me a job? She recommended communication. I was like, yeah, I like that. So no, but for real, I always liked to communicate. I was a leader in high school. I was definitely a person who like led organizations and was a captain on the sports teams. So I think something where I knew I would be dealing with people ended up being a great fit. I studied communication, and communication at Penn is a lot of writing, a lot of thinking. It's not so hands-on that you're actually, I did one project where I actually worked with television equipment. We actually filmed a movie, but really a lot of it is writing, thinking, expressing your opinion, selling your ideas, things like that. And Penn was great. So I do have to give a little shout out to the Quakers. I had an amazing time at Penn. And so that was what I did. I studied communication, I minored in art history, and I minored in Spanish. And I spent a semester in Madrid, which is one of my favorite places on earth.
Yes, enjoy it as well. So, okay, so you get out of school and then you're like, gee, I got to find a job and try and use this major that I got. And then ultimately find yourself getting into several different, what I'll call mini careers in terms of broadcasting and producing and directing and media content. I mean, I guess let's talk about those early days of what you were doing and how it evolved.
So my first job in TV was by far the hardest job I've ever had. And I actually recommended someone who now has that job now. My old assistant is now doing that job. That was my first job. And I it's so visceral how I felt during that time. My very first job was booking people for Inside Edition, the TV show, cold calling them and convincing them to be on TV for a big story. And you're thinking about, these are people in the middle of a really big story, a big moment in their life, sometimes good, sometimes not good. It was by far the absolute toughest job. I just learned so much, but it was just very stressful, really working under a tight timeline, under a deadline, super high pressure, very competitive. It was basically really hard sales for very little money. But it gave me an opportunity to really see what TV was like. And once you did get the person to say, yes, I will do an interview, you get to actually be a part of making that story come alive. And then you get to see it on TV. So I'm a real action-oriented person. And so for me to be able to be a part of something that later that day or the very next day was on TV, you get to call your grandma, hey, grandma, my segment's on TV. So that was really, really amazing. And then I started learning how to write stories better, like how to really captivate an audience, no matter the story. I did a lot of interviewing and preparing people for on camera. So whether the person had never been on camera before, or if they were a CEO of a company, I would prepare them. I would work on their talking points, but also for people who've never been on camera before, I would actually prep them to be on camera.
Yeah, so body language and facial expressions and not fidgeting and just the physical side of it, in addition to speaking up and sounding like you know what you're talking about.
Exactly. All of those things. And, you know, I like to say now, and this relates a lot to the work that I do now, there's something about that red light going on that sort of steals people's soul, right? It really sucks something from you. And so a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm bad on camera. And I really don't believe in that. I truly don't believe anyone's bad on camera, but it's work we need to do to transfer the you who is comfortable in sales meetings, comfortable at networking events, to being on camera.
Yeah.
So it's more of a transference of energy rather than a
Anxiety, right?
Camera.
Yeah. I mean, look, we have people come here on the show, and then whether it's politicians, mayors of cities, CEOs, and I can see them with the sweaty palms fidgeting and being like, am I going to be okay? Or coming in with 10 pages of notes that they're never going to be able to look at or get to. It's really a skill that in the real world, and to me should start in high school and for sure in college, on making sure that you're comfortable in any sort of environment where you're public speaking, whether it's one-on-one to a camera or to a big group of people.
And honestly, the things that I now teach people, I wished that I had learned when I was younger. I was not a particularly strong public speaker in high school or in college. It was never a skill I had. It was never a skill I grew. I wasn't on the debate team. I wasn't really in plays. So really, unless you're building and working that muscle, there's not really a natural way that you might become an amazing speaker, that you might become an amazing person who can lead meetings with clarity and confidence. And that's okay. I wish the things that I teach people now, my clients are, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I wished I had learned these 20 years ago. And that's why I love what I do, because it's like everything I wish I knew sooner.
It should, look, to me, there are certain core courses that everybody should take in college, and if not in high school. And certainly that's one of them. My son took a class on job interview. Like, you had to create a resume. They would do fake interviews. They would give you a made-up position that you had to interview for. And then you had to actually go on an interview, whether it was Zoom or in person, and pretend that you were applying for the job, which in reality, as soon as he graduates in a few months, that is what he's going to have to do, right? And so if you're in sales, you're doing that on a daily basis. And if you're not comfortable with it, or you're not good at it, maybe you think you're good and you're not so good, you got to figure out how to get better.
And a lot of those skills that we need to build are even more nuanced. The lessons today are even more nuanced, because it used to be, here's how to step into the room, put your shoulders back, here's how to calm yourself down, here's how to have the interview. But now you layer on Zoom interviews, AI interviews. Basically, sometimes you're looking just at, like how I am right now. You're looking, right, just at your computer lens, and it's hard. It's not how we naturally communicate. Humans are social creatures. We're used to seeing another person, mimicking them, and we're in sort of this, like, obviously tech heavy age. So on top of learning communication skills, you also have to be able to do that with technology.
Yeah. And I also find too that in an in-person interview, you need to be able to interact, whether that is with a large audience, a small audience, or one-on-one, or around the conference table. You've got to pull somebody in, and you've got to be compelling in whatever you're doing. It's interesting because we used to do role playing, and we used to bring people into our conference room and have them pretend to be potential clients, and we would film it, and then we would, critique it afterward. And even for myself, you look at yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, I was playing with the pen too much, right? I mean, it's a distraction. And so little things detract from what it is that you're doing, in addition to the content of what you have to get across to the people.
Absolutely. My eldest brother, he used to do mock job interviews with me, and he was so tough. He was so good. He'd be like, stop nervous laughing. Why'd you just laugh? I was like, ah. But it was good. It was helpful, because how you communicate, obviously, you only get one chance to make a first impression, but how you hold yourself is how they're going to assume you are always.
Well, and
right?
I think that applies in a bar, talking to a girl or a guy, no different than just everyday kind of stuff. Yeah. So, okay, so you're in the TV realm of things, and then you go on to do work for Netflix, US Weekly, People Magazine. I guess talk about what you were doing for those folks, and was it content creation, or was it directing or producing? How did that go?
Sure. So in TV, I shifted into digital. So in TV, I worked at news programs like Inside Edition, which was, I would say, news and red carpet. Then On the Record with Greta Van Susteren. So I did like hard cable news for about 5 years, everything, tech, finance, news, politics. Then I did some crime shows. People love crime shows, so do I. I wrote and produced some hour-long crime shows. I really wanted an experience of doing short and long form. So once I was like, okay, I know how to do short form news, short form general content, I now can write an hour-long show as well. Digital was like really coming of age then. We're talking 2015. So digital video was super hot at that moment, and I really wanted in. So I knew I wanted to help build something. I'm like a person who's very excited by like learning something new and then mastering it and then staying with it and then maybe mastering something new. But I saw that as an opportunity. And so I actually knew somebody at Us Weekly, and I told her, I want an interview with the boss there. I really want to build them a video unit. So basically Us Weekly is a celebrity magazine. They had a website, but they did not have really much of video at all. And I was like, I'm going to come in and build you a video unit. And when I first went in, I actually didn't hear from them for a year. I didn't get the job. A year later, they called me and they said, actually, we brought someone in last year. It didn't really do much for us. We really want to commit to it this time. And so I got the job, and my job was to build a video unit. So everything from creating the set, overseeing all the operations, hiring, and then the creative. So translating a brand from what is really well known as an online, mostly magazine, but also online brand. How do we translate that to video? And then how do we make really video first concepts, right? Not like this is the magazine and here's a video of it, right? But how do we create video first content? So I was at Us Weekly and I built that video unit for them, and it was an amazing success. Us Weekly sold for about $100 million. And so I left soon after that. And then I worked at Netflix and Pop Sugar. So I really shifted into digital, and digital includes social. So a lot of our content that we were making for digital was social media as well. And that kind of brought me to where I am now today, where I run my own business.
Gotcha. And so I guess that was my next question is, was there an epiphany moment of you're like, I'm just going to go out on my own and do my own thing, and this is what I want to do? Or how did that evolve?
So my epiphany moment was delivering my second child and working during childbirth. And I just realized this is really not how I wanted my career to go. I absolutely loved my jobs. That job was incredible, but I also felt like something was off. And I really, really, really wanted to be more in charge of my life. Like I did not want to be working in the hospital. So I started thinking, what does that mean? My dad was an entrepreneur, but what I saw was that he was really tired all the time. He was laying on the couch, like resting. And so it wasn't that being a business owner really appealed to me too much. I had a jewelry business also in my 20s. As a side hustle, I had a jewelry business where I sold my own jewelry in Bloomingdale's and Henry Bendel. But it wasn't like I was like, I can't wait to be an entrepreneur. But I knew that what I had as a skill set was really strong, was really powerful. I knew I was very good at what I did. And then sort of figuring out, okay, what does that become? How do I market myself now that I'm not with that brand name of Netflix or Us Weekly or Fox or Inside Edition? Like, how do I make people seek me out? And so it was a good process for me, because I ended up going through what a lot of my clients go through, which was I have to put myself out there on social media.
And so basically what you did for yourself, you're now doing and helping other people to do. I feel like the ultimate multitasking is giving birth and then texting and taking work calls. I can't imagine, but I figure that's a pretty good skill set that you could take to other things and apply it. And so in today's world, if we fast forward, right? So what you do is a combination of basically helping companies and individuals try and up their persona, up their game, increase their digital media, their social media, all of the above. Really, and to me, I'm curious your thoughts, but it is really a multifaceted sort of approach, whether you're an individual or you're a company. It's not just social media, it's not digital, it's not in person. You got to do some of all of it.
I really love that you brought that up, because I do think it's very layered. So it is a layered process. Like people think, okay, let's just go make videos. well, we have to step back. Number one, who are you, right? So there's the whole brand and messaging. Who are you? So whether you're a commercial real estate agent, a residential real estate agent, a business owner, whatever you are, who are you? Not just your job title, but what is your unique value proposition? How do you stand out? What makes you credible? What makes people like you and want to work with you? So first, we start with that messaging and that branding. And I actually never let a client, we never, ever, ever start with any client until we do that work first. I won't hit record until we've done that branding and messaging work. So then we figure out, okay, who are we?
Yeah, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what to create or how to market it.
Exactly. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know who you're talking to. All of those things stem from there. So then we step into confidence. How do you feel on camera? Both on camera and, to your point, in meetings, on stages, in networking events. It's not just on camera. And I love when people really, really tap into that. I have some clients I've been working with for a year or two. And we started with video. But now she's hosting these seminars for 200 people. Yes, it's on Zoom, but it's a seminar. It's really more like a speech. So we're talking about how do we keep people's interest and all of that. So really we're talking about confidence on camera, communication, being clear. So we have that strategy and messaging piece. We have the confidence on camera. And then we have okay, what are we going to make? How are we going to make it? Whether it's video or podcast, what are we going to make now that we know who you are? We're building that strategy about what you talk about. We're getting you confident. And then we're actually making the content.
Yeah. I mean, look, when I was reading your bio and doing my own homework, to me, the bell that sort of rang was sort of a modern day Dale Carnegie, course and game plan, if you will, because I'm old. And then back in the day, I went to the Dale Carnegie Institute and I was in college when I did it. And I was in there with a bunch of business owners and CEO and movie producers, and they were all there for the same things. I'm afraid of speaking in front of people. I'm afraid of going in front of the camera. And today, with the real time of social media and all of the different outlets, you have to be comfortable with that, and then you have to have some sort of a plan for whatever it is that you're trying to promote. And I guess I want to get your opinion on the real estate side of things, because in real estate, whether it's commercial or residential, and I think it applies to a lot of industries, people are hiring you because they like you, number one, but they also need to feel that you are an expert or that they are comfortable with your knowledge and what it is that you do, because they're going to put money and time and responsibility in your hands.
I love that you brought that up, because one of the two core things that I teach my clients are the 2 C's: connection and credibility. When you're creating content, when you're connecting with people, they have to like you. That's the connection. But they have to trust you. That's the credibility. They are going to give you a huge chunk of their money. They absolutely need to trust you. And so that's really at the core. When we talk about building that strategy, you have to have those 2 pieces built in. So when I work with a client, a real estate agent, commercial agent, business owner, it has to have both of those pieces. One is not enough, and neither is the other. You can't be a person that someone wants to grab a beer with, but they don't want to hire you. You can't be someone that they think is intelligent and knows what they're talking about, but they don't like you and you're not likable.
Yeah,
they don't want to
agree.
work with you.
I agree. And then there's the other issue, which is if you're just talking about yourself all the time, then you just come off as a self-serving person, or, hey, I did this deal, I did that deal, I know about this deal, I know this guy. And there's only so much name dropping you can do, right? Because at the end of the day, I feel like the person on the other side of the table or the other side of the phone or the Zoom is really sizing you up. And they're really basically deciding while you're talking and while you're having this interaction, the same things that you've said. Do I like this person? Could I trust this person? Do I think they're knowledgeable? And I think that decision, the wall of apprehension gets dropped about 50% in the first few minutes, right? Like the come out.
Yeah. And it's the what's in it for me, right? They need to know that you're going to help them. So when you're either talking about yourself all the time or just really talking about that, building the connection, making people like you, but you're also not showing them how you can save them money, how you can make them money, how you can help with a more stress-free transaction, you're not answering the what's in it for them. So I think that connection and credibility are super important to have both of those pieces and make sure somebody likes you and they trust you, and then they're going to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, our guest last week was high-powered residential real estate broker, and one of his key talking points was that he does research on who his potential customer is. So when he goes in to make a presentation, he finds out as much as he can about them, so that he can bring it up in the conversation. So if they like cigars, or they like golf, or they like travel, then he can touch on those points. It helps bring the sort of apprehension meter down, if you will.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, when I work with real estate professionals, I find that people really kind of come into two buckets of the things that hold them back. So there's a group of people who really come to me and say, I hate being on camera. And then like after wine, they're like, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too fat, I'm too blah, blah, blah. Like they get honest with me, right? I give a keynote speech. Everyone's like really excited and motivated. And then later that night, I'm like, okay, let's be honest. Why haven't you been doing video?
Right.
They tell me, like, then they're honest, because we're at the bar after the keynote speech. But when I go to, and I've spoken at a lot of events, Inman Connect, NAR NXT, I've done keynotes for Exit, Next Home, Women's Council of Realtors, blah, 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 on and on. But the point is that there's like kind of two areas that I see people get stuck on. So people, for the most part, do believe in the power of video. I think they think it could work, but one area is I hate being on camera. I feel really self-conscious. I don't like my voice. I don't like my face. Okay, it is what it is. That's the hurdle you have to get over, right? The other one is I'm okay being on camera, but like I don't know what to make, and I don't want to look foolish. I built my business. People respect me, and I'm worried that being on camera, people are going to think I'm silly. So those are really like the two biggest hurdles I see. There's a couple other ones of will it take too much time, or I don't have to, I don't have enough ideas. But I think the biggest buckets are I'm self-conscious. I don't want to be on camera. I'm worried people are going to think I'm silly.
Right, and then assuming you get over those hurdles, right? Because if you don't, you don't ever get there. They just don't do it. I mean, we've invited guests on the show here that are very high-powered, influential people in the business world and the political world, and then they're like, yeah, I don't want to do it. I get nervous, or I just don't do public speaking things, and I'm just like, how is that, right? How does that even go? But once you get past that, if you're creating content, or if you're putting yourself out there, whatever that means, you then have to take whatever that is and use it to take it to another level, to either increase your own persona, your business persona, and then market yourself, so that if you're not doing it in person, you can drive somebody to your website or to the internet to find content about you, because you have to assume that whoever you're pitching for business or whatever, the job interview, they're going to check you out.
Totally. And I like to say that hiding from the camera is hiding from opportunity. My clients, my agents that are really leaned into video, one of my agents gets 2 referrals every single week. Another one, she brought in $5 million in brand new home sales just from video, right? Separate from the other book of business she's doing. One of my other agents has built a massive referral network directly through video. So I see it happening all of the time. And I love what you said about that. It's really, I like, you're kind of understanding, and I like how you're explaining it. It's sort of this, like a scientific being, like the nucleus, but then the little web growing out from it. When you're creating content, it creates this web that people can go online and learn about you while you're sleeping. So let's say you're on a podcast, and it's a video podcast, like we are. It's a video podcast. It's going to end up on the internet while you're sleeping. Someone's watching that video, learning more about you, and they're going to message you and say, hey, I saw you on that podcast. I really like what you said about this. And that happens all the time. Like,
right.
People think,
and you never know.
It happens.
And you never know what will lead. It could lead to that $5 million deal, but it could lead to a job interview. It could lead to, your wife or your husband. I mean, you just really don't know. And so I'm a big fan of, you don't know what turns the other person on that's watching you. So you also have to have a little bit of variety. You can't also have digital or media content that all says the same thing all the time.
Totally. And one thing you said earlier that I think it was like 2 questions ago, I meant to say, a lot of people, very successful people that I work with, I mean, I deal with really I work with really top agents. I've dealt with CEOs, Congress people, everything. When you really think about it, people get stuck in their head of I don't like how I look on camera. I don't like how I sound on camera, or I'm going to look silly, or I'm, what next? Then what? And what after I make the video, then what?
Yeah. Then you have to go market it, and then you either need to hire someone or get someone to help you to do it if that's not your thing. I mean, and so if you can't get past step 1, there's no step 2 anyway.
Right. And the point is, really successful people understand you need to delegate. You need to bring someone in. And so that's why people bring me in. I say to them, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the strategy and the next step and the next step. That's why you hire me. So I think that people sometimes get really caught up in the mindset piece of it, and get over the mindset piece of it, right? Video's not going anywhere. You need to lean in. And even if you don't love video, just being okay with it, getting more comfortable with it, because the more confident you are on camera, you're going to be better in meetings, you're going to be better in sales calls, you're going to be better at networking. But lean into the idea of successful people invest their money and time into parts of their business. Yeah. And the thing that bothers me about when people are like, I'm not going to have video, I'm like, marketing is a core part of your business. And video marketing is one of the most powerful ways to do it. And honestly, once you get good at it, it could be pretty cost efficient. So it's one of those things, just continue to be a smart business owner, continue to be a smart real estate professional, invest your time, invest your money in video. You will see it have returns. Every client of mine who's truly doing their work, right, doing the homework, investing their time, investing their money, are seeing incredible returns. They're getting more clients. They're getting speaking engagements. They're getting invited to panels. They're getting podcast invitations. So not only are they, of course, everyone wants to make more money, they're being seen as the leader in their field,
right,
which comes with the territory.
No, I agree. And I was reading that you've gone back now with your infinite wisdom and taught at Penn and at NYU and Syracuse. And spoken to young people at those places. What is the general message that you're giving to these folks early on with regards to this?
Oh my goodness, I love this question. Whenever I go, I generally do Syracuse at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. There's a few points. Number one, that I tell young people going into the market: you're always selling. I wish someone told me this when I was 20, but communication is a core piece of selling, of course. When I was a young TV producer, I had to sell my ideas. I would be in a room of 40 people. The executive producer would be there with all of these really, really experienced journalists, and I would have to sell my idea to a room full of people. It was really hard. You're always selling, right? Whether you're selling yourself, a product, an idea, you have to get good at communicating confidently and clearly. So that's massive. So you're always selling, so get good at communicating your ideas clearly and confidently. And the other piece is like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, because I had one too, but I want to hear your second one.
Sure. The other thing is, when I articulate, my career has been, mostly in media, but it hasn't been a straight up line. It's kind of been spaghetti, and it's been so incredibly gratifying, and it's all come back. I use everything I've ever done in media in different ways now. So don't always be concerned about like climbing the ladder. I would tell somebody, I would say, take jobs that challenge you, take jobs that you're going to learn new things, add tools to your toolbox, and trust that you will get somewhere really exciting and rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, I find also that if you're creating content, even if it's not successful or doesn't do anything for you, as long as you don't waste a bunch of time and a bunch of money doing it, it's a keepsake for your kids or your family. People will remember who you are, right? Or you could look back yourself and go, oh, that was me, 20 years ago. But I also find that for young people, and for my own son, when I talk to him about what he wants to do with his life, I feel like for young people, there's a fear of rejection as well, right? So whether it's talking to a girl or a guy and fearful that they don't like you or don't want to talk to you or go out with you, or I apply for a job and then I don't get the job, right? What we tell our marketing department at our firm is you have to rejection is just part of the deal, right? It's part of the journey. And if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world, and you got to bounce back and keep trying, because if you don't and you don't get back up to the plate and swing again, you're never going to hit the ball.
I love that. One of the things that I speak about, one of my keynotes is a motivational keynote on fear. And truly what I have seen both through my years in media and now as a business owner dealing with thousands of clients every year is fear holds us back in incredible ways. And what we might say, oh, I'm too busy to do that, or I'll do that next season or next quarter. It's really just fear. And the sooner we can truly identify what's under our hurdles, like why are we really not doing this thing, whether it's video or whether it's going for promotion or whether it's trying for that award, peeling back that layer and saying, what's really holding me back? What is the fear? yes, it's fear. Where does the fear come from? Let me tap into that and digging deeper, because I like what you said about fear of rejection. It is one of the biggest things that we have is fear of being judged, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success sometimes. But until you're really doing that mindset work, I mean, I had it myself. I mean, I was really scared to start my own business. I was really scared to put myself out there. And I started thinking about most of my fears were that people were going to judge me, that I was a very successful professional in media. And I thought my old peers who were like senior vice presidents, presidents, CEOs were going to think that I was silly. And I had to get over that because that was holding me back. It was holding my business back. So once I got rid of that fear and said, maybe it's there, but I have to move through it anyway. And this is for my business. It's a professional goal. It's a personal goal. And getting on social media was the best thing I ever did. I'm doing keynotes. I have incredible clients I love. I'm so gratified that I get to actually help people get more confident, make more money, right? Create the life that they want and deserve. And it all happened because I broke through that fear. So I love that you brought up the fear of rejection.
Yeah. So look, we could do this all day because they're all life lessons in addition to business lessons. But unfortunately, we all got other stuff to do with our day. And Paul is waving at me that it's breakfast time for him and it's close to lunchtime for you. If people want to find out more information on you and the services that you provide and the programs and the engagements that you have, where would they go? What's the website?
Sure, great. So you can connect with me on any social media. I'm at Kim Rittberg, Rittberg. My website is kimrittberg.com. I have a free download specifically for real estate professionals. So if you just message me, I'll send that to you. It's kimrittberg.com/RE tips. And it's a free download of what videos you need to be making and how to use the AI to make better content. But reach out and say hi and say you heard me here. I'm very friendly.
As we can tell. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts and your insights with us. It's been great. Kim Rittberg, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody else out there for listening in, tuning in, watching in, whatever you're doing, staying in. Thanks for tuning in. And we will be back here next week on Let's Talk Real Estate. We'll see you then.
Thanks for having me.
Well, there you have it. You've been listening to Let's Talk Real Estate, your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current state of the real commercial real estate market right here in Southern California. On Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studio here at the University of California Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.